working down the street in Dallas as well, it was a pretty easy transition for me because I had already done it several times for Carl. But it's really funny. It's just like a Mac PC argument. It's very much whatever you did first. If you grew up on a Mac, you're going to be one of those retarded people that only use Macs and hate anything but Macs. On hardware. But my brother's a PC person because he's always used a PC. He's absolutely as fanatical about it as a Scientologist. So I had to make that joke. I can see that giant building. But it's very much the same thing. If you started on the click system, then that's natural to you, and doing the chase method. I've heard the Funimation actors like, I don't know how you people do it with the Japanese in your ears. And I'm like, well, I don't know how you people do it with the beats. It's just the way you were brought up doing it. There are benefits and disadvantages to doing it both ways. Carl said he likes the beat system because it took some of the theme-songy quality out of some actors that because they had to kind of be in and on your mark, get set, go frame of mind, it took some of that, I don't know, where are you going, out of their voice. But I don't know, it was just enough of a startlement to them to, give them a more convincing delivery or whatever. So, I don't know. I like both ways. The only thing that I didn't like when I first started using the click method was that originally we had none of the music or none of the sound effects in our ears. That is bizarre when you're recording a fight scene. You have to go, and not hear any of the it feels super weird, and no music. That's what I just did is what it sounded like, and it's somebody turn the effects on at least. Now they do. Now even when we're working with the beat system, we have the music and effects, or they call it M&Es, music and effects. And so now I'm okay either way. It's not weird one way or the other. You've been standing up with your hand in here for a while. Oh, that's like asking which one of your kids you love the most. Really is. Or which one's your favorite dog? Oh my God, I always say it's in a toss-up between 3 characters, but I think it's going to narrow down to 2 at this point. It used to be Son Goku, Kaoru, Nagisa, and Chrono. But I think at this point it's still a cross between Chrono and Koyuki. I like Koyuki, and I think that probably if Koyuki was a real person, by now he'd be a person I'd want to hang out with. And I like that. I like the fact that he was very much a real, not to quote Pinocchio, but kind of a real boy. Everybody's pointing at someone over here. There must be a Koyuki somewhere close by. Oh, wow.
I loved it. But what I want to know is, A, what was your first anime, and B, if it influenced you in any kind of way to do it?
What was my first anime that I ever saw, or was the first anime I ever worked on?
First anime you saw.
There's no, we tried to pinpoint this down, and I even called the friend that introduced me to anime, and I'm like, do you have any idea what the first show we ever saw was? I was a skater kid, and I ran with a bunch of kids that all skated, and there was this one kid who was into anime, and he would bring videos over to my friend's house, and we would watch them on days that we couldn't skate. We have never been able to, we thought it was Robotech for a while, we thought it was a Bungle for a while, we thought it was definitely a big robot show. We don't remember specifics until we all hatched this plan to buy a Laserdisc player. Because the fact was we couldn't get our hands on anime, it was very expensive on VHS, and at that point you had to know somebody that knew how to find it. But if you could get a Laserdisc player, there was tons of anime available on Laserdisc and it wasn't expensive. The problem was you had to be able to afford a Laserdisc player. And so what we did is we were going to all get a Laserdisc player and then buy Laserdiscs. Well, I ended up being the sucker that bought the player, and everybody else was, and nobody else bought Laserdisc. So then I ended up being the same sucker that bought the Laserdisc. But the first show we remember all of us remember talking about this, the first show we remember hating was an OVA called A Humanoid. And the reason why, how many of you ever saw that show?
Yeah.
How many of you remember what the box looked like for that show?
I only remember the DVD.
It had a sexy robot on the cover. Yes. And there is no sexy robot in that show. There is a female robot in that show. Not a sexy robot. And we all us little dirty skater kids learned what truth in advertising really meant. But I remember, one of the most moving, and people bag on Akira to this day, but I actually saw that in a movie theater when it first came out. And that's one that I definitely remember. I remember watching Big Robot shows, and I remember seeing the motorcycle scene from Akira on a big screen, and just like, because it was as cool looking as Blade Runner, only they could fly on a motorcycle. Like, it was really, there was something about watching it in a movie theater that really kind of changed the way I looked at it. So I got into all kinds of, I think all of my first shows that I was into were typical boy type of shows, Big Robot shows, action shows. But the second time I started watching anime around is when I started watching shows like Kushigi Yugi and like a little more tender shows, if you will. But yeah, one of these days we're going to figure out what the first show we ever saw. But now, of course, they're all my age, so like, I don't know, that was forever ago, and I'm the only one that still has anything to do with anime. They've all gone on to, one of them's into motorcycles, one of them's a tattoo artist, they're all doing different things now, so I'm the only one that's stuck with it, I guess. So, thank you. In the very, very, very back with the red hat, yes. I can't hear you. Can somebody with the wireless? Oh, awesome. Hey. Okay. About my character, I love my character in Air Gear only because he's ridiculous. And we found out, and there's a name for it, I don't know, the characters that have those funny bubblegum looking lips, I've played now 4 different characters that have those funny lips. So I guess that's my thing in life. Just like Monica always voices the pig, she was the pig in Loki, she was the pig in Peacemaker. I guess I'm the bubblegum lip guy. But the funny thing about that is when you see a show like Air Gear, guys specifically always want to play the sexy, be shonen looking character or the tough guy that kicks a lot of butt or whatever. I love playing the freaking annoying characters. I have so much fun. They're never boring. They're always ridiculous. Who would have ever thought he hates on his head? So he can look up girls' dresses too. He's a ridiculous character. And I love the whole story arc that his girlfriend broke up with him because he wasn't fat enough for her. And she started dating Fatty Bucha. Hysterical. But that show was, one of those examples of I was totally unaware of the manga, so I hadn't read the manga, and I was working on the show, and it was like I blinked my eyes and it was over, and I'm like, wait, what happened at the end of this? Because, my character is not very pivotal in the last few episodes, and so I never knew what happened until I got the discs. As far as them making more of that, I don't know. The only shows that you can almost be sure that sequels and things are being made of are shows that are bringing in a lot of money. Because right now there's not a lot of money in this industry. So, of course there's going to be another Alchemist. Of course Dynax is going to keep making more Evangelion. Of course, there will probably be another Inuyasha movie for all I know. But, I have lived long enough to hear a groan after the word EDI.